The marvelous cultural landscape of Herzegovina is constructed upon the emerald-colored Neretva River between Hum Hill and Velets Mountain on the Adriatic Basin. Since the ancient time, this fertile arable land allowed prosperity and growth of different human tribes and turned nomads into shipmakers, sailors, fishermen, and businessmen.
It was almost 20 years ago since the war finished, and you can still see a lot of trace from that period. And if you really overlook all the damages from each and every building, I think it's not that difficult to imagine how wonderful this town really was back in a time when people could still live peacefully next to each other.
Mostar belongs to one of the oldest inhabited area on the Balkan. In the late medieval time, around the 15th century, Mostar was a relatively small settlement which contained 19 stone houses along the banks and a simple suspension bridge. When the nearby Blagai, which was the center of the local political power, came under the control of the Ottoman Empire, Turkish aristocrats were mesmerized by the appearance of this fruitful valley and decided that it is a perfect place to erect an oriental town which later could be used as the political and economical center of Herzegovina. The Great Ottoman Imperium was a dynamic empire. The core idea was not based upon nationality, rather religion hierarchy. On its heyday, Muslims were the only group who could work with important tasks in the government. Before the outbreak of the Balkan War in the early 90s, there were altogether 13 Islamic mosques which were dated back to the 16th and 17th century. Star attraction in this town is the old single-span line bridge Mostar, which gave this picturesque town its poetic name. Mostar means the old bridge in Bosnia. This splendid wonder was constructed for the Ottoman Emperor Sultan Süleyman the Magnificent in 1566. The arch is 28.7 meters wide and the height is 21 meters. The master construction engineer of this bridge was the famous Turkish builder Hayreddin, who worked closely with Mimar Sinan, who managed the construction project of the famous limestone bridge over the Drina in Visegrad in northern Bosnia. The old town developed around this handsome bridge. In the oriental part of this town, a special handicraft tradition in mantle carving, rag making, and painting developed. Craftsmen in this town were influenced by both the unique Anatolian folklore as well as the nearby Dalmatian Catholic art practice. During the Ottoman period, Mostar was the most important trading town with Dubrovnik, Split, and other coastal towns. The caravan route was established. Businessmen poured into the marketplace with cargoes of delicious Dalmatian items: olive oil, fish, meat, honey, and oat, as well as linen and wool. The local Muslim aristocrats enjoyed a very comfortable lifestyle, while Catholics and Orthodox Christian residents were obligated to pay an additional tax to the government. A feast full of traditional Turkish residents are well preserved in Mostar today, most of which are located in the vicinity of the old town.
I feel like a princess who is enjoying the most enchanted natural scenery in the world. I mean, the Turks who lived in Herzegovina had a fairly comfortable life, and thanks to their aesthetic styles, very much of the old town has decorated with the typical oriental flavors. Just look at the room. I like the carpet, and most of all, I love the Aladdin-like lamps. Just imagine to open the lamp and some ghosts jump out of it, and I had 3 wishes to make. What would be my wishes? World peace. It could be nice because I do think world peace has such an important significance, especially in this town. And the second, I really hope my family and my friends are going to be well for the rest of their life. And the third, it's pretty selfish anyhow. I wish I could see more of the wonderful world culture history that heritages teaches me how different we really are and how important it is to appreciate other items than the standardized IKEA furnitures.
I was a teenager in the 90s. I remember very clearly that the ferocious civil war in Balkan made headlines in the evening news days after days. Many terrible atrocities were discussed by politicians, journalists, or ordinary refugees. During the Great Diaspora, many Kosovan Albanians, Bosniaks, Croats, and Serbs moved far away from their homeland in hope of a safer environment, away from heavy artilleries and whimsical landmines. Towns like Banja Luka, Mostar, Sarajevo, and Srebrenica became household names. Someone blamed the religion, others talked about the embedded evilness. The most pertinent question was what this war would entail for the future development of the Balkan region.
Here is the east side of Mostar, the place where Muslims lived during the Mostar siege 20 years ago. And it was an incredibly difficult period. People had no electricity, no water, no food, no nothing, and the snipers went wild. Today we can still see a lot of traces from that period. It's really kind of scary to walk around in this part of the town in the middle of the evening, especially when we just arrived. The war is still very much present, and the people do really not react to it anymore. I think most of them are just happy that the war is over.
The 3 religion congregations existed harmoniously next to each other in many centuries. Mostar was in fact the most integrated town in former Yugoslavia before the outbreak of the Balkan War, 1992. The conflict centered on whether Bosnia should be part of the Yugoslavia Federation. Although the civil war in the 90s is not a popular discussion subject, sooner or later, everyone starts to talk about this devastating period and their own experiences. Behind each open place, someone will died In the midst of this bitter bloodshed, many people lost their lives while they tried to rescue others by driving them to a small temporary hospital. Snipers kept operating days and nights. All public services were stagnated. 7 mosques on both sides of the Neretva River were destroyed. On 9th November 1993, the old bridge, which has been the symbol of this town, was finally destroyed by the Croatian artilleries.
These are the pieces of the destroyed old bridge, and at this moment I really cannot stop to thinking about the video clips which were running over and over again on CNN in the middle of the 90s. This old bridge just suddenly disappears. The only thing you see is just fragment of the grander architecture which mesmerized people's mind in 500 years.
Around 100,000 people died and 2 million were forced from their homes as a result of the ethnic cleansing. The suffering was impossible to describe by words. Footages of the harsh concentration camp, which was equipped with electric wires, were broadcasted on all major television channels. Soon after, the genocide mass graves were discovered in a number of different locations in Bosnia and Herzegovina. A large number of human craniums were found. Today, the bullet holes and concrete ruins are somehow an obvious part of this town. Muslims, Catholics, and Orthodox live their separate lives on the same soil that had nurtured their ancestors. We visited 3 cemeteries on both the Catholic side and the Muslim side. Many young boys who lost their lives in the wartime died at their early 20s. Some of them were still teenagers. It should be an age to enjoy one's youth and camaraderie.
I'm standing in the Catholic side of Mostar, and during the wartime, the Croatian Catholics lived on this side of the river, and today the city is still very much divided. People in this side of Mostar, they have their own hospital, they have their own bus station, their own post office, and even very 2 separate school systems. People in this side of Mostar, they feel much more connected with the neighboring Croatia than with Bosnia, Herzegovina. And here is a very strange combination of modern architecture and really boring Stalinistic housing. I'm not sure what I feel when I'm standing here on the Catholic side of Mostar. It feels strange because there's still so much memories from the war that is left to be scrutinized. But on the other hand, it just feels like an ordinary post-communist districts with extremely loud pop music from the Eurovision Song Contest and a lot of really exclusive vehicles.
Ottomans used monumental architecture to affirm, extend, and consolidate their colonies on the Balkan. During the 20th century, those constructions were used as reasons to depress the European Muslims during the brutal Mostar siege. Can Bosnian citizens ever find a method to pursue everyone to live harmoniously ever again? Is it possible to combat against or stereotypical images verbally. Today, Croats and Bosniak school children attend separate schools and use completely different literatures. I do not dare to speculate how such an insane system would influence the regional economic and political development in the future.